You might want to like.
Have you played any of those VR ones?
I haven't, dude.
I've never
other than like at like a not like a VR PlayStation game, but like, you know, at the malls they'll have those things you can
do. Little setups.
Yeah,
I've never done one. I did one at a at a car dealership, but it wasn't a game. It was like where you put them on and look around.
Yeah.
Things popped out. They had a roller coaster one. I didn't do that one.
Yeah.
I saw one guy fall on his face. But the one that I did was a room, and it was like a horror one. And it felt way too real, and it wasn't real. Like when I see some of these videos on YouTube, I'm like, this looks real.
Yeah.
But this one was like, it was kind of animated, but it was still scary. Like you'd look around the room, and it's like, open the drawer. And then I opened the drawer, and like a spider popped out. Shit. And it was like obviously an animated one, but you still got the jump scare.
Yeah.
And you're really just like standing there like an idiot moving around. But it was like, so I think it could be cool for like that, for like a movie thing, or like being in a room or something, or even like training for like military guys or police. Speaking of police brutality and how we change that, like more training to put them in crazy chaotic situations in the VR machine.
See how they react.
See how they do it, and then grade them. And it's like, hey man, you keep shooting the wrong person every time. You got to pass this game before we even remotely think about giving you a real gun.
Yeah, get you out there.
I know we're thinking crazy ahead, but wouldn't that like be some solution to all this crap that's going on?
Yeah, there's got to be something, because it's just it's crazy.
Yeah, this world, man. I don't like to get too deep into things that I'm not completely educated on.
Same.
So I won't do that. But I will say there's something to the like shoving a thought in someone's face. Like if you push enough ideas to someone, it starts to freak you out. Even if it's not real, like obviously this is real. It's not what I'm saying. So I'll give you an exact example. Alligators. I watched a video on Facebook, and it was like alligator eats this guy's dog or something, right?
Yeah.
And obviously it's not a cool video. I'm not promoting that, but I wanted to see what it was. So I clicked on it and I watched it, and I was like, oh, that's crazy. And then of course, like now Facebook is like alligator eats another alligator. And I'm like, oh, that's gotta be good. Yeah. So I watched that, and it said alligator versus shark. I'm like, what? Wow. So then for like 3 hours, I watched these alligator videos, all kinds of them, to the point, by the time I was done, I was like, these fucking like monsters, this is like a real thing that lives on Earth. There's these monsters.
They're just like dinosaurs.
There's dinosaurs just like living amongst us. These are like huge. I was freaking out. I'm like, we got to take care of this. This is unsafe for the kids. I saw the Disney one where they ate the kid.
Oh, yeah.
I freaked out about it. And then I like stopped. I'm like, wait a minute. I live in like New Mexico, man.
I've never seen
this. Is not a real threat. But it was shoved in my face for 3 hours to the point where I started freaking out about alligators. And so that's what I mean by that. You do that about anything. They did it with COVID, where they threw all these COVID videos in our face where we thought we're all going to die the first day. We're all buying toilet paper and Vienna sausages. You know what I mean? It's like wild. And yes, it is important. But when you throw something in someone's face enough, it becomes, you freak out about it, and it could be anything. I hope that's not the case with these cop videos, because I've seen there's obviously an issue. There's obviously an issue with untrained cops. It's obviously disproportionately targeted toward minorities. That's 100% true. But I'm just hoping that it's like, there's a solution, which is why I thought of the VR thing, which there has to be. It's the only thing I can think of, not just VR, but better training. I saw one where they're like, we should have social workers go on with the cops. Like to their, I'm like, no,
dangerous for them.
Yeah, you're asking he has no training at all. Like, you wouldn't have a cop come into a counseling session. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here? So the only thing I think of is better training. Like, if you have to do what, 6 months to be a cop, I think, in a cadet school. Like, to be a counselor, 4 years for a bachelor's minimum if you're doing full time, and you're not even a counselor. People don't know that. As someone who's in school right now to do that, you have to get a master's and then get licensed to be officially a counselor or a social worker, right? To even be licensed as a social worker. And so it's like the minimum to even get a social work degree, and you're not even a licensed social worker, is 4 years. But 6 months to be a cop, why don't we double that? At least, if not more, make it a year. And the first 6 months, make them do the social work class. Instead of sending a social worker to be with them, make them do the same education as social workers are doing for at least 6, if not more, before they even go into training to be a cop, right? And just have some sort of sensitivity. You're not even an active cop to a year in. I prefer more, at least 2. What is that, an associate's? Tell me it takes, what is that, like cosmetology school is 2 years, right? Tell me it takes 2 years to be a hairdresser and make what, $15 an hour maybe? And then you could just be a cop in 6 months? Like, and have someone's life in your hands? That's my only solution. What are your thoughts on that? I know I've been talking about it a lot. What do you think would help?
Man, I have no idea what would help, but definitely like something, not send it. I get the people's sentiment by saying, hey, maybe a social worker should go with them, or maybe the cop should have that training, because there's situations that don't always need to escalate into, violence or whatever. It can be talked down, or, there's people have issues that the cops may not know about, because they're not trained to know about it. If they know about it, then maybe this person acts this way because they have some sort of social issue, you know, and, you know, if the cop can recognize that, they can stop them in other means or know what to do rather than.
Do you think they're just freaking out? Do you think a cop just doesn't know what it's like to be in a stressful situation?
I think so, because
I think it's part of it, huh?
That's like a reactionary thing. I mean, I'm not a big gun person. Like I've shot guns before, but it's not like
I shot my first gun like 6 months ago.
Yeah,
ever.
It's not something I want, but I can imagine if I was by myself in some weird situation and someone came at me, I'd probably react with, you know, my weapon. Like, I don't know how to do it.
We're just regular humans, right? And so, like, I mean, if you're going to own a gun, you should know that. But if you don't own one, you should probably know that. Yeah. These police officers are like, that's part of your job is to like know that. Yeah. And so it's like, and obviously, like, there's intent too, and there's systemic stuff where it's embedded in them. They don't even know it, kind of thing. I get all of that. I'm just thinking there's a way to fix it. I'm not one of these people that are like, get rid of the cops.
Yeah, you need cops.
Yeah, and if honestly, I might even be maybe being a little unfair to a cop as well, because I don't know what it's like that. In my head, when I was younger, I was like, why don't I just shoot him in the leg? Like, I always thought that.
Yeah.
Like, why is it always
the
like,
chest
why is that? And maybe someone who is a cop has a better answer. Maybe there's a good reason why they don't do that.
Yeah.
I always thought it was kind of stupid. But I don't understand this whole, like, I've seen some that I'm like, they're running away. Like, they're running away. What are you shooting them for?
Yeah.
Get in the car. Some of them, it's like, do you not want to chase them? Like, what is it? Just go try to get them.
Yeah.
I mean, especially now, if you know there's a guy that just robbed a bank, he has a gun in his hand, things change. I could probably get that. Yeah. But if there's just some guy you pulled over and he maybe pushes you and runs away, like, get over your ego. You know what I mean? Instead of like, oh, he hit me, I'm going to hurt him
down. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like, all right, like, this guy obviously does something wrong. Let's get him.
Yeah.
I just don't understand that. I never understood the whole, like, that's someone's life, man. You can't be doing that to people.
That affects, you know, they maybe have a family or whatever too. It affects more than just.
Could be just some dumb kid
guy,
too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That doesn't know and he's running. Like, that's a conversation. That's not a shot.
Yeah. And yeah, they're probably scared too. You know, people say the cop's probably scared. I'm sure the person they're dealing with gets scared too. You know, this cop has a weapon and, you know, there's so many things that can go wrong. It's just, I don't know the solution, but
I don't know the solution. I'm definitely glad that people were talking about it, and I'm glad that there's conversations happening.
And it's more, it's more talked about now. And
that's what I'm learning as like, I told you that story earlier about the person on my Facebook kind of thinking he knows a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
This is what I learned. Like, I'm pretty like understandable about stuff, but there's no way I can understand what it's like to be a black person and get pulled over.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to know.
Yeah.
So when it comes to stuff like that, like I'm doing my best part to just listen to the people that I do know. And so I have some friends that are cops. I listen to them. You know what I mean? I've had some people that can relate to being pulled over and not knowing if they're going to get shot or not. And I'm just like gathering all this information, man. And I think as a white person, not that I'm like the spokesman for white people or anything, but I'm saying as someone who is white, I think that's the most important thing that you can do is just listen and try to ask more questions than you're giving assumptions on. Because everyone thinks they know. And it's like, you don't know unless you're the offended party or the cop. Maybe they don't know either, but they have more right to speak on it than I do. But it's like, I think that's what people should be doing is talking about it and listening. And so I'm glad that that's happening. I'm glad that people are talking about it.
Yeah. And I've had one situation and it's lingers in my mind all the time when I'm, you know, when cops are around me. And it's not because I think something bad's going to happen, but it's just like a nervous energy that comes up. But I got pulled over for essentially my tints being too dark, which they weren't. It was legal amount of tint, but it was dark.
They just say that sometimes to like
just to pull you over. Yeah. So I got pulled over and one cop and he's like, "Hey, you know, how you doing?" Blah blah. And I'm dressed. You know, I wear hats and you know, bigger clothes, whatever. It's a style, and he's like, "Do you have any weapons on you?" I'm like, "No." Are you sure? I'm like, yeah. I mean,
are you sure?
Can you open your back seat? You know, like ask him like, could get me out of can you get out of the car? I'm like, dude, I have no, like, I don't know what your problem.
At this point, had he told you what he pulled you over for yet?
For my tints.
So he had told you that, and now he's asking you to get out of the car?
Yeah. Asked, do you have weapons, drugs, blah, blah, blah. Asking me all these things. I'm like, no. Can you get out of the car? I'm like, yeah, I guess. You know, I don't want anything bad to happen. And this was probably like, 10 years ago. But and I was just like super nervous. Like, I was like, I know what happens in these situations. So I complied. I did it. They didn't arrest me or detain me or anything. They just checked if I had guns or drugs. And I don't, man. I'm just going to my friend's house to get drunk. Come see me in like a couple hours and pull me over. Then you'll have something to pull me over.
It's so crazy because it's like it's not like you were showing signs of stuff.
Nothing. I was barely going to their house to party.
You got profiled?
I think I did.
Yeah.
For sure.
Dude.
Your palms are sweaty, but hit the subscribe button already. Mom's spaghetti is red like the button to which you are heading to click on. confetti.